Let's get to the advisory now, and Liberal Senator Jane Hume has introduced a private members bill to allow couples to voluntarily split their existing superannuation balances, not just contributions, to address the gender super gap. Let's discuss with Liam Shorte from Sonas Wealth, who joins me now. And Liam, I guess this bill designed to tackle the so-called motherhood penalty, right?
Yeah, look, I don't often praise politicians, but this is a great move. We really want to see women having more confidence as they approach retirement, that they do have superannuation behind them. And look, we all know there is an issue out there with domestic violence and grey divorce, where people are divorcing once the children have left home. So I think it's a really good move to ensure that from women's point of view, that they have their own balance in super, and that it's, if the husband or if it's the other partner has a high balance, that they divide the balance evenly over time. One, they're making the most use of the system, so they can both have the up to 2 million in pension phase. But it's more about that confidence for women as they approach retirement, that they do have money to see them through.
And I guess you touched on a little bit on how it's going to work, but how will it address the shortfall more broadly? And I guess as well, when we're starting to see super paid on parental leave, that will hopefully lessen that motherhood gap too.
It will, but look, even for a lot of women, when they go back to work, they're only going back part-time, they're not going back full-time. So this just gives that ability for a couple to make sure that each of them has a decent balance in super, and that the balances stay, they can use the different contribution limits, they can use the transfer balance cap to pension limits. It would be an ideal way of, just realizing that people are couples, but that in a lot of cases, one of them is sacrificing their future earnings to take care of the family, and the other is getting their super growing all the time. So this ability to even it out, I think, is a much fairer way to deal with couples going forward.
Let's go to the other end of the spectrum and those that have quite a bit of super. What's the latest with Division 296?
Oh, it's up in the air. It's gone silent. So it was meant to be introduced after the government came into power, but it's all gone quiet. We feel that there's a couple of reasons behind it. One of it is that they've just realised that the first tax bills for this Division 296 would come through around the time of the next election, and may not be good publicity, and of course would be fodder for the opposition to attack Labour for attacking superannuation. And the other side is the APRA funds now have realised that even though the Division 296 tax has been designed to minimise the effect on them, they're still saying that the actual cost of adapting their systems to show the balances is going to be astronomical. So the government is getting hit from all sides, and at the moment everything's just gone quiet.
Okay, Liam, I love talking about some of these scams or strange inquiries that you get, and I've told you before, I see them all the time on my Instagram, but when somebody asks you something like, can I buy a house in South Africa, what's the answer?
The answer is, if it's going to be for one of your family to live in, the answer is no. So an SMSF can buy a property internationally. It just needs to be very careful that the system, the property system and the legal system in that country allows for the recognition of an SMSF as a trust owning the property. We're finding this is coming out a lot because we've got a generation of very high income earners that have migrated to this country. They're doing well, but they've got a huge mortgage because they're starting behind everybody else. And they're looking at ways of, how do I help out my parents or my family back in my home country? And of course, one of the ideas is, oh, look, we've built up a lot of super. Could we use that to help family? But the answer is no. Okay, but we do get these inquiries, and it's sometimes very disappointing to have to tell somebody that, but superannuation has got a sole purpose test. The investment must be for building your retirement wealth, not getting benefits for family now.
What are some of the other strange questions you've been asked recently?
Yeah, so people trying to adapt the rules to suit their situation. So I've seen this from a few crypto investors as well. They're saying, if I decided to leave Australia completely and renounce my citizenship, can I access my super? And they're looking at the departing Australian super payment, which is only available to temporary residents. So an Australian citizen does not become a temporary resident or a non-resident just because they decide to renounce their citizenship. So the same rules apply to them regardless of where they go in the world. An Australian citizen or somebody who was an Australian citizen still must wait for their preservation age of 60 at the minimum.
All right.
And the other one that
Sorry,
one
go
more
on.
that we do see is we get people now who want to retire, want to take some time off. They're in their 50s, they're burnt out, and they go, look, I just want to stop work for 2 years, go and travel around Australia or travel around the world. Can I access my super to pay my mortgage while I'm away? And again, unfortunately, the answer is no, because the preservation age is 60. And regardless of whether you're working or not working, you can't access your super under 60.
The preservation age 60 though, Liam, but you've got some good advice for those about to turn 80 to sort of enjoy their wealth, right?
Yeah, so look, and it comes from all the reviews we've been doing with clients over the last couple of years. We're finding that because we've had a fairly good 5 years, despite COVID and everything that has been on during that time, most of our retiree clients have not used any of their capital in the last 5 years. And I know this is a concern of the Treasury and some of the groups out there, but it is a point that we're trying to get across to our clients that a lot of them have been reluctant to travel after COVID or because interest rates went up. But we're saying now, look, you've used no money for the last 5 years. Now's the time to do those trips, to get those experiences, because once you get over 80, really hard to travel, to get insurance, and long haul flights take more out of you, so it takes longer time to recover. So we're just saying to people, don't leave it too late. If you sit with your advisor and they say you've done fine and you've got spare cash, spend it. You've created it. Use some of your wealth to enjoy it before you get to 80.
And in terms of enjoying and building wealth, a lot of people probably missing the bounce that we've seen since April. Tell us why, in your view, advice is just so important.
Yeah, look, an advisor is there to hold you accountable, but also to hold your hand through stressful times. In most cases, we've seen, especially since the GFC, that took about 4 years for the markets to bounce back. But every other drop since then, it's been amazing how quickly the markets have recovered. In case of the COVID-19, it was about a 4 to 6 month period, and the markets had fully recovered at that stage. With the Donald Trump election last October, markets took a dip, they were back up within 2 months. And then with the tariff announcement in February, again, the markets dropped, but by June, they were back up. If you had chosen to pull out of the markets because you were scared, and I can understand, a lot of people were really scared that things were going wrong in the world, both with COVID and with Trump, but your investments are there for the long term, and they will be affected short term by something, but they will recover if the underlying companies are doing well. So the basic answer that most advisors give people is that it's time in the market that counts and compounding your growth, not trying to market time it. And I have seen I've had a few new clients that have been sitting in cash now for the last 9 months, and they've missed all those recoveries.